come to me.
Yeah, it does work.
Yeah, so just do that, and then when I get the recording, when they send it to my inbox, I will send it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
So how long is your meeting?
1 hour.
1 hour, okay. Cool, enjoy it, and enjoy the evening.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Davis, you there?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Mr. Hosni Mubaraq. How are you doing, man?
It gives me the shivers when I hear the Mr. You know, some folks text me, they're like, "Sir, man, the vibe is weird to me." Yeah, Hosni Mubaraq is just enough. Sometimes even just Hosni or Mubaraq is fine. But when we have all the names, you know, all the government names spelled out, it kind of, you know, builds some tension. I'm like, "Ooh, it's too much," but okay.
Why are you scared of the future?
No, you know what's funny? What's funny is like this whole Mr. and Sir and all that stuff. I just feel like sometimes it's just too much credit, you know, because it's something that it's earned, and you know, it's a process. And I don't feel like there is ever a point when you really earn it fully. So it's only out of respect, but not out of formality. But again, respect is only a subject of events. So sometimes you just feel like there is more events that need to happen for that to happen. But until that happens, it's not really so necessary.
You can give us some musical interludes. Just I know you're good at that.
Musical interludes. Musical interludes. Yeah. So wait. You mean like I can play music on my phone and then your folks hear it, right?
The same phone you're using for Zoom.
Yes, apparently it's the same phone I'm using for Zoom. I only have one gadget right now for all my stuff. I wish I could use my laptop, but my camera is funny. I think it can happen. Wait, I think it can happen. Let me try to play some music and see if you guys can tap it.
All right.
Okay, hold on. Let me bless you guys a little bit. Bless you. Can you guys hear that?
Okay.
Nothing.
You can't hear anything.
Nothing.
Okay, that's sad. Let me get a Bluetooth probably and play from the Bluetooth.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And see if that makes a difference.
Hosni, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. I have not yet identified your voice. Sounds like Emma.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to remind you that it is very important that in the also members should have their videos on, if it is possible. Them as to the speakers, just wanted to remind you that as a Toastmaster, perhaps when the meeting starts, it's prudent that we have our videos.
No, it's not your time, but it seems you want to see me, but I'm actually looking very handsome today. Just say.
Even I just wanted to remind you when people are saying to be reminded.
Sure.
And also, I think when I join, the microphones are always open. So perhaps that they can always meet people in the end. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to play something. I hope you guys can hear it. Let me know if you can hear it. Huh?
All right.
Okay. Wait. Let's get this. I'm trying to get it connected. Are you guys hearing anything?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. In a minute or two. Oh my God. I swear, I think Zoom kind of cuts out all the audio. So like everything else is tapped out. That's sad. Does someone have an extra gadget that they could use to like do the interlude sounds and other than what? Because I've tried, but nah.
Are you saying you're using the same phone to play the music?
I was actually thinking if I could like play the music, but on Bluetooth, you know, on a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah.
I hoped that it would play, but it turns out that it may need more than just that.
Just that?
I thought it turns out that it may need more than just that. Like, well, we need more than just a Bluetooth speaker, perhaps even a whole completely different device, you know?
Okay, let me try. Then you let me know if you can hear sound.
Sawa. Give it a shot.
All right.
Wow, the attendance is really amazing. I'm seeing people popping in from the woodworks.
And some evaluators want to tap out.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, David, what was the thing about logging in with that title?
Sorry?
What was the thing about people logging in with their titles, like I'm a HarkMaster, all that stuff online? Like,
Yeah, as you're joining, there is a provision of there's something Marianna demonstrated in that group.
yeah.
Someone is not muted.
Anita, we are tapping your judge, but we don't know with who, but it definitely isn't with us. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I said. Kahaika a co-host. Yeah, so Kahaika, just always check for people who have their microphones on so that you can always unmute them, so that when we start, we have very minimal interruptions with the Toastmaster. But it's really, really irritating to a certain extent when someone is trying to communicate a message and then there's a lot of background noise.
All right.
So let me know if you can hear the music playing in the background.
Emma, I really like your jumper.
We have to
I really like it, genuinely. No cap.
Thank you.
Looks good.
Oh, really? Let me play this. Let me know if you can hear. Can you?
Yeah, I can hear it. Besides, it's D.
arms again, please. When they all said I can't have you, I think that most I can't hold you. And now I don't really want to. Oh no, you know I still come through. Give me love. I just feel so young. I give for you. Heartbeat for you. Every time when I think of you, I don't know. I don't want to wait for days. Let me have you in my arms again. My dad, we are
When I'm forgetting that we're actually going to start a serious session here, me is shaking my head like no man's business. Better get serious.
So I don't know if the Sergeant at Arms is already on the meeting. If the Sergeant at Arms, if he is on the meeting, I would request that he starts the meeting. And when the meeting starts, mostly if you are a role taker, kindly your videos are badly required to be on. The speakers, the Grammarian, HarkMaster, Evaluators, General Evaluator, Accounter, all of you, your videos are really needed badly to be on. Most especially when you are delivering your roles. Toastmaster man, since you are taking us away, your video is going to be required to be on all the way. So if the Sergeant at Arms is on the meeting, please kindly take us away.
Yeah.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to officially start this meeting. I'd like to welcome all members and guests to this meeting. And I really wish you guys enjoy yourselves.
Mr. Toastmaster, can I interject a bit?
Yeah.
We would love to see.
Sure, please.
Mr. Toastmaster, we would love
I'm
to
right
see.
on. My camera is on.
No, Toastmaster,
Can you see me
I mean, Sergeant at Arms, sorry.
Yes,
yes. We would love to see your video on.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Muhoozi, and I'm at Arms for this meeting. And I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting. And I'd like to wish all of you how to enjoy yourself. Yes. And I would like to set a few ground rules for this meeting. Please, you're not a speaker or a role taker at the moment. Please mute your microphone and switch off your video. So for the time being, I'd like to invite the Toastmaster, Hosni Mubaraq, to take us to the next segment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. By the way, it was very lovely to get that invitation for the Toastmasters. I actually got it like this week, and it really sent a million chills down my spine. And we had a back and forth on it with Kahaika. I was really quick, by the way, to select the role, because it's always been my interest, to be in spaces and places like this, and try to share as much as I can, and to also create an environment that is just as amazing as the environment that the previous Toastmasters have been doing a good job at, with the Gavel Club. But regardless, there's also a demand to keep up with the energy that has been on the platform, so there's the pressure that comes with it, but regardless, you get to adjust and make amends and prepare yourself for for the big event. I believe I've met the first counter. I guess Mr. Oloya just got that one for sure. But regardless, I want to appreciate everybody that has made the time, to come on here and to give us the energy, to contribute the energy as well, because it really means a lot, to have everybody join in and to have everybody contribute in shape or form, even if you're not a speaker, even if you're just listening, it really means a lot to all of us, you know, and really appreciate you for being here. So regardless, the theme for this meeting, the 26th Gavel meeting, is makings of the makers, you know, and it's a series, by the way, that we do every Saturday. Yesterday we did the series, and we definitely break down what are some of the things that actually make the people that we see creating and doing things very proficient and prolific in what they do. You know, so in the essence, we actually get to understand what it is that drives them, what is the method behind the madness that they do drive and operate with. Because, you know, the truth is, for the most part, when we look at these folks, sometimes we do look at them as guys that are crazy, you know, because they often operate at levels that sometimes when we look at, we feel like they are just very weird and very awkward, and perhaps they are out of place and they're out of order, you know. And until we actually get the opportunity to interface with them and understand who they are, what their thought processes are, from what point of progression and progestion do they come from, that's when perhaps we can be able to understand why they operate the way they do, and then also simulate perhaps these processes, you know, because I do believe if anything is done humanly, it can be replicated, it can be duplicated, but that still doesn't mean that you have to, you know, copy and paste it in whichever way, form, or shape it comes in, you know. So at the end of the day, it's always trying to understand what it is that lies behind the mechanism of these people, and then trying to simulate it into a fashion and form that can work best for you, you know, and just kill it and operate at your own level, you know. So that was the reason behind, you know, choosing the theme. And I believe that's, for the most part, what Gavel Club really stands for. You know, if you look at all the folks that are on here, the people that are trying to create, firstly for themselves, and then for the people that are around them, and which is something that is really, really remarkable. You don't really find that around so much. You know, most folks are always looking behind, you know, the next person that is doing what perhaps they admire, and they are just being followers and puppets, you know. Out of lack of a better word, I use that. But, you know, this is a space where people actually try to make an effort to, you know, take themselves to the next level. So that's, for the most part, what really, really inspired the theme. And I'm so glad that it's actually what we're having today. But regardless, we'll cut that short. I'll definitely get back to that later. However, I'd like to introduce the role takers. I don't know how we shall be having them come on and say a word or two about what they do. Of course, I do know the people that are on here for the first time, so they definitely want to have a scoop on what it is that these people are going to do. So the first taker is Emily Hope, Miss Emily Hope. She will be the timer. I would very much appreciate it if you could jump on and say a word or two.
Hello, my name is Emily. I'm going to be the time master, making sure you use time as planned, and yeah, that's it.
It would definitely be a pleasure to have you, Miss Emily Hope. And the next role taker is Marianna Nakabuye, the HarkMaster as well. Miss Marianna Nakabuye, do you have any kind words for the folks and what you'll be doing?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Marianna.
So I'm the HarkMaster for the day. And basically what I'll be doing for this, basically what I'll be doing for this meeting is asking questions according to what the speakers have presented. Yeah, so that will be my role for the day. So after the speakers have spoken, I'll choose people from the audience and they'll get to answer some questions related to what the meeting has been about. Yeah.
Lovely, Miss Marianna. It does definitely look like it's not yet 7 where you are. It's really, really very shiny, I can tell. But regardless, we'll go on to Mrs. Abitimo Rebecca. She will be the grammarian of the day. Miss Rebecca, could you please let the good folks know what you will be doing as a grammarian? Miss Rebecca, are you there?
Yes. Good evening to you all.
Okay. Hello. Hi.
Yeah, my name is Abitimo Rebecca, and I'm going to be the grammarian for this evening session. Now, basically, as a grammarian, my role is to take note of the use of good English, as well as including pronouns, articles, and any spectacular use of amazing words, as long as it's put in a sentence or in a phrase that can easily be identified and easily be understood by the audience that is involved. Also, as a grammarian, I would encourage people to be my favorite this evening by encompassing the word of the day in your speeches, and in whether it's an impromptu speech, or you're preparing your icebreaker or your second and third project. I would encourage you to use the word of the day so you can be able to encompass it in your daily speech. Thank you.
I feel like that's the most lovely way to put out what you do out there. She was very elaborate. She was very explanatory as well. But regardless, we'll go to Atamba Moses. Mr. Atamba Moses will be the Tabletopics master. Mr. Atamba, are you there? Could you please let the people know what you will be doing for the day? Mr. Atamba Moses, you there? We'll give him at least like 10 seconds. If he doesn't pop up, we'll definitely go to the next person in the interest of time. Okay, so at least probably we'll have Mr. Atamba after on, but we'll then go to the counter from Mr. Oloya Joseph, one of my personal close friends. How are you doing, sir? Are you there? Could you please let the people know what you'll be doing for them this evening?
Yes, thank you, Hosni. My name is Joseph Oloya, and I'll be the counter today. Basically, my role is to count the number of R's, the pause fillers often used in speech. A few of them include are, so, like, yeah. And usually these pause fillers are used by speakers when they're trying to contemplate on what they're going to say next. I think Hosni is currently one of my culprits. He's used quite a number of them. I think I've caught him using that songs. So what I encourage speakers to generally do is to not be afraid of pausing during their speech, to take their time, compose themselves. However, in taking time, not to risk being pulled over by the timekeeper. Today, I expect a lot of pause fillers because all the speeches are icebreakers. These are first timers. I expect a bit of nervousness to come into play and a few of them to use a few pause fillers. Basically, that's my role. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ola Joseph, for filling in and for definitely letting the people know how much of a terrible job I've been doing with the R's. We definitely keep that in check, but regardless, I do not know if we do have Mr. Atamba Moses on right now. If you are there, Mr. Atamba Moses, I would very much appreciate it if you jumped in and let the people know what you'll be doing as the Tabletopics master. That thing is playing me. Tabletopics. Okay. I was saying topics tables. Okay, so it's Tabletopics master. So Mr. Atamba Moses, I would very, very much, actually, we would very much love it if you would pop out of the woodbox and let the people know what you're going to be doing for the folks. Okay, in the interest of time, Mr. Atamba Moses definitely seems to be a bit held up or perhaps constrained in one more or the other. We cannot tell which is which, but regardless, then we will move on to the evaluators. the evaluators of the day. We'll be having 3 evaluators, and for the most part, these are people that have been in the system, in the mix, and have had quite some sufficient amount of experience in the game, and well, they have had quite some speeches to make as well that we can recall and reckon to. And the first evaluator will be Bridget Masaba. She gave one of the most phenomenal speeches on feminism I've ever had before. I couldn't hesitate but get her on the podcast as well. She definitely will be jumping on in a couple of weeks. But regardless, Miss Masaba Bridget, it is really a pleasure to have you on as an evaluator. Could you please jump on and let us know perhaps what are some of your expectations from the people, or perhaps from the person that you're going to be evaluating? And have you had a discussion with this person? Have you talked to them? And what was your conversation like with them?
Unfortunately, Masaba Bridget is not going to be available for this meeting. However, the first speaker is going to be evaluated by Tony. Tony can say something about what he can expect from the speaker.
Oh, that would be lovely then. Can we please have Mr. Tony say a few words or 3 about Mr. Karungi Charles? What are his expectations from him?
Thank you very much, our host. Yeah, I'm called Tony Raymond, and I'll be evaluating Clever. Now, Clever, I expect you to use the word of the day. And then, since our meeting is more of an audio due to technicalities, I expect you to be audible. And then I expect, try at least to ensure that your internet connection is strong, such that we have minimal interruptions in the course of narrating your speech. And then I expect you to tell us about yourself, such that we can know you more. Probably in the future, we shall know your interests, and we see how to engage you further. The last thing is I expect you to tell us an interesting story or speech altogether. And then I only ask you to try and do your best. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tony, as well. And I do understand it perhaps was it was a very, very abrupt call for you to get to be an evaluator on the last minute. We really appreciate you once again for taking on 10 toes to actually take the role on such short notice. Then we'll go on to the next evaluator, who is Emmanuel Akandwanaho, the CEO of MIA Uganda, and of course the founder of this very amazing club. You know, we definitely will be expecting him to be an evaluator for Miss Liz Kisaaka. Definitely have had quite amazing conversations with her, but regardless, Mr. Emma Akandwanaho, what are your expectations from Liz?
Thank you so much for Toastmaster and for those big introductions and the keywords that you there. You never quite seem to amaze me every time you have to say something about me. But anyway, going back to the Toastmaster, be the evaluator, and I will be evaluating Elizabeth Kisaaka. Elizabeth Kisaaka will be doing her first speech. That is a confident communication manual and an icebreaker speech to those that if it's your first time to join a Gavel Club meeting. An icebreaker speech is the very first speech that initiates you in the journey as a Toastmaster. Or if in any Toastmasters club, this is the very first project you undertake. And what we expect to learn from Elizabeth's speech, we expect to know her background, what are the things we expect her speech. By the time we go to end, we expect to have to understand how the vision and the title of Elizabeth's speech is The Good Old Days by Elizabeth Kisaaka. I wish you all the best in your speech. Thank you.
Definitely, I cannot wait to listen to the good old days for sure, because we have been having quite a lot of ruckus and fracas in these past couple of days. It's really been very frustrating. You know, the new normal is very abnormal, you know, but regardless, we are trying to take the toll and take the punches. And I guess roll with the punches, you know, you just have to adapt and survive. And just make sure that, you know, you well, you make it through. And then we'll have the very last evaluator, Mr. Tayal, the very first gentleman I met, okay, other than Emma, the other gentleman that I met when I was going for my first Gavel meeting. You know, he was really warm, really down to earth. You know, he was very welcoming, and I guess we became friends in less than 5 minutes, you know, but regardless, it was such a pleasure to get to meet him. And it's definitely a pleasure to get to know that he's going to be an evaluator as well. Mr. Tayal, he will be evaluating Mr. Shadrack Kizza as well. So we definitely will be waiting on him to hear what are his expectations from Mr. Kizza. Mr. Tayal, what do you have to say about your speech expectation from Kizza?
Mr. Tayal as well, in the same spirit,
Yeah.
was called up doing. He happens to be the guild representative council of School of Statistics. So they had an abrupt meeting, so he couldn't step in. I chose to stand in for him. However, like everyone else has said, everyone on this list is doing an icebreaker speech. Mr. Kizza Shadrack is going to be doing his very first project in Makerere Gavel Club, and he had just joined the Makerere Gavel Club recently. However, I've had a chat with him. He's a very interesting guy. Actually, one thing about him, I don't know if I should spoil, but I've not yet looked into his speech, but I think I should first spoil. He's a very confident man. He was a former, he's in first year. He was a former head prefect of King's College Budo, and expect greatness from this man. However, he told me one thing that disturbs him, and that is he usually gets, he loses it from the script and starts to get in new things into the speech that he had not planned to add into the speech earlier, and he gets confused along the way. So I am here to watch him do his thing. However, I expect, since it's going to be an online meeting, I expect the best from him in terms of audibility, clarity of his speech. His speech should be really clear. I expect to notice those vocal varieties as he is going to be speaking, and I expect a story that's going to be interesting, easy to follow, a story that has a plot. Other than that, I want to congratulate Mr. Kizza Shadrack upon tending towards accomplishing his first project in the Makerere Gavel Club.
It's definitely a pleasure to have you, Mr. Shadrack Kizza, and I do understand it must have taken quite a toll of confidence and courage, you know, to be the head prefect for King's College Budo. Is it the Red Lion? But okay, that's a very long job. But regardless, I think we will then definitely get to have the folks jump on and, well, let us know what they have to offer. Of course, I don't know for sure if Mr. Atamba Moses has jumped on. That is something I'm very skeptical about, and I would really appreciate it if perhaps if he is on, he could definitely let us know what his role is going to be.
Yes, sure, I'm on. I'm writing. I'm so sorry I came in late. But yeah, better late than never. I'm around, and I'm going to be serving as the Tabletopics master tonight. Yeah, and I hope for the best.
Okay, thank you so much. Regardless, no, listen, it's very fine as long as you're here. That's okay. You don't have to worry about being late. The most important thing is that you showed up regardless. But however, I feel like we have not also talked about the word of the meeting. You know, like what is that phrase? What is that one word that we perhaps need to be chipping into our phrases and our exclamations and, you know, statements and all? Who is supposed to give us that word? Isn't it the grammarian, I reckon?
Yes, please. Apologies for that.
So what's the word, Miss Rebecca?
So the word of the day that we are all supposed to be putting effort to encompass in our speeches is ameliorate. It's a verb, So it should be easy to use, and it means to make something bad or unsatisfactory better. Again, the word of the day is ameliorate. It's a verb and it's used in a sentence in any way that you would like to, but it should be in context. Yes, and it basically means to make something bad or unsatisfactory better. For example, the reform or the school did much to ameliorate the living standards of people. I hope that you will do everything that you can to be my favorite tonight. That is all the speaking.
And
Thank you.
definitely for sure, I would say you giving us the word of the meeting has been very ameliorating. And we really appreciate the fact that you have made that effort to put in that word for us. However, before we start, I really want to thank again everybody that has stuck with us up to this moment, and those that have just joined right now. You haven't really missed much. We haven't yet started quite a bit. The interesting bits of it are not yet on board, but we have done for the most part, just introductions, the role takers, the people that are going to be performing a few roles here and there. Those are the most folks that we have been focusing on. We shall be having 3 folks that will be doing their icebreaker speeches. Icebreaker speeches are fast time speeches, so there is not so much expectations of perfection, but rather just expectations of execution. Just people showing up and doing what they do, and in hopes of getting better and getting their game up and improving as time goes by. So the very first speaker will be Mr. Karungi Charles. We definitely would appreciate to hear what he has to say. Mr. Karungi, please take on the platform. It's all yours.
Thank you so much. Toastmaster of the day. Here is my speech. It's entitled "What is Beyond," and I've tried to put on my video so that I can present. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Okay. And here it goes. What is beyond? Jeff Bezos, the world's richest man, flew to space and back in just 11 minutes in a very fast rocket built by his own company. Jeff Bezos is the world's richest man, and he had this energy and he built a fantastic machine that took him to space. Well, for such a man, I was fascinated by the fact that he was able to do that. And I found that interesting. Toastmaster, fellow Gaveliers and Evaluators, a good evening. Humans have lived on Earth for over 200,000 years, but the world's age dates back as far as 4.6 billion years. I feel that makes me insignificant as a person, but today I have the chance to traverse myself as a person. Well, officially, my name is Karungi Charles on my Ugandan documents, but I was baptized Karungi Charles Kalinda Clever, and 4 months after I was born. And Kalinda was the name that was given to me by my grandfather because he believed that I waited, which in Luganda translates to Kalinda, to come after my 2 sisters. I was also named Clever in a rather peculiar way because the day on which I was born is the day for St. Peter Clever. And with a skepticism of what I would become and the fear of me becoming the magaz that is dull in class, they named me Karungi Peter for a while, which later they changed to Karungi Clever after they believed in what I would become. I've been in 2 schools for my life. I would have wanted to go to different schools and make as many friends, but I went in considered parents for my primary, and I achieved 4 aggregates at the end. I later joined Namilyango College, which was a bit challenging because every weekend would have girls from Namagunga and Gayaza visiting us. And for you to shoot your shot, you had to have something, you had to have fame within you, an achievement. You had to have either you played rugby or you had the leadership role. So I just chose the path of academics. Well, there's this one time that we went to Makerere College School, Marcos. By that time, I was in my senior 4. I participated in a competition of essay writing in French. Well, I won. I could have gone to France, but here I am. But also among my achievements, I was able to get 2 girls to chat with that day. As a child, I rode photographs of cars. I played with wire vehicles. I drew helicopters in sand. And that told me that I could achieve anything that I wanted in life. It showed me that even in plain spaces exist cars. I got my biggest scar, my forehead, you see here, when I was just 7 years old, trying to leap for a wire car that was raised by my sister, telling me to do something which I hadn't done, and I missed it. If I had caught it, I wouldn't be having this scar, but it has shaped who I am today. I later reached Makerere University in 2017, in 2018, I mean, and that was after I scored 89 in O level and 19 points in my HSC, and that got me into the big university. I chose to do architecture because it joins my love for art and creativity in wanting to create things beyond this planet. Except for having to dance in my first lecture and carrying around a guitar for the whole of the semester, people would confuse me to be an artist or a musician, yet I was an architecture student. It showed me that the journey is bigger and it has many mountains and valleys. 2019 was rather a sad year for me. I had traveled home a couple of times to see my family, and I forewent the friends and the Friday plots to go to Kenji's. But when it reached October, I lost my grandfather, and my mom passed away just 4 days after. Well, it was hard because my mom was my rock. She had been the first person to believe in me as Clever. She had taught me how to walk as a human. I'd learned from her that I could leap for the stars and do anything that I wanted. I also learned from her my cooking skills, how to invigorate people's taste buds with joining the best curry powder and fusing it with pineapples to make meat taste juicy. However hard it has been through this journey, I've had a couple of friends. I have these 4 friends, and we usually go to Impis, if you know it, just next to Eastern Gate, and we chill from there. We watch what we call the Impis lights, and with some Nigerian music playing in the background and a bottle of happiness and a meal, Rolexes in most cases, we share a lot. We've been able to paint memories of spaces filled with stars. If it wasn't for my friends, I wouldn't have gone that far. I would be able to go fast, but with friends, I know that I can go as far as the stars. I think that in this life, we are driven by the things that we strive to achieve. Jeff Bezos and the 3 comrades he flew into space traversed just 1/10 of a trillion of the journey of what is beyond the horizons. And I believe that my journey is the makings of a maker. Thank you.
That was a
But
very hearty and witty speech for sure. My heart was shaken. I was definitely moved beyond my seat and off of my comfort. I mean, my condolences. My heart goes out to you for your grandfather, and then later on your mother as well. I do know that it really left a very significant dent in your heart and in your mind as well. But regardless, we are with you, and you definitely will always have our support as the Gavel Club. But regardless, thank you so much. I loved the speech. It was so amazing. I definitely could listen to you for more than at least a couple of more minutes. You're really amazing storyteller, that's for sure. Then we'll go to the next speaker of the day, Liz Kisaaka, Miss Liz Kisaaka. Definitely a woman of very many wonders, and that is something that we'll perhaps find out in a couple of minutes. Miss Liz Kisaaka, could you please take off the platform? Yes, please.
Hosni, first wait. I feel like the host should make the timer a co-host so that she can share the screen when it's 2 minutes to the end and something like that. Can you do that for us?
Yeah.
Mr. Host Kahaika, or any of you? Yeah.
Okay, definitely. Thank you so much for bringing that up. We are for sure going to find a way around it. Thank you so much. As we get that done, Mr. Kahaika probably is on the ones and twos for that. Can we please get Miss Kisaaka Liz coming up and giving us what she has to offer for the day?
I'm inquiring, when do they start timing me?
Well, we will start timing you right about now.
Okay. On the 27th of January 2001, at 1 a.m., a baby girl was born. Her eyes glowed like the stars, and her skin was a replica of the night's beauty. This little adorable child was later named Elizabeth Kisaaka. This little girl turned out to become a responsible, beautiful young lady, thanks to her caring and loving parents, Dr. and Mrs. Malunda. You must agree with me that many African parents can be a little nosy and overprotective. I must say right now, they're even listening in to me right now. But after all, without them, we wouldn't be here. Today, I want to walk the journey with you. We will travel into the past, present, and the future. This is simple quantum physics that only requires your mind and a vigilant memory. Gavelians and guests, welcome to the Gavel Club Cinemax, where we are going to be premiering a movie titled The Good Old Days, directed by Elizabeth Kisaaka. 17 years ago, Elizabeth was admitted to St. Kizito Nursery Boarding School for her primary. Well, you can only imagine a little girl in uniform with a tiny little bag to her to school in uniform, I'm so sorry, full of unfamiliar faces. Later, she advanced to primary, where she went to St. Teresa's Namagunga Primary Boarding School, and she started her boarding in primary 1. No wonder she received a slap on her first day. 7 years later, Elizabeth joined high school. This is where she found her new love. Well, I guess all of you are assuming the true love that I met, but it's not the one that I'm saying. The true love that she met was hockey. Due to her passion and obsession, she managed to qualify for the national games that were held in Fort Portal. Well, most people would think that this was a time for camping and meeting up with the boys. But as I had said, her parents were overprotective. So all that was running through her mind was getting a medal and a trophy. But on the second last day of her games, her maternal grandfather passed on. This was really a sad moment for her. May his soul rest in eternal peace. To add salt on the wound, she could not actually bid him farewell because, well, she was at the games. Her parents tried to make sure that she could come and attend the burial as it was in Kabale on their way to Fort Portal. But the coach could not let his MVP go. I could say that her mind was in Kabale, but her body was at the pitch. All she wanted to see were the hilly areas in Kabale because she had never gone there. The only village that she knew was Bukoto. That's where her grandfather lived all his life. It was like as if the ancestors were angry with her, that on her last day, the opponent hit her eye with a stick. Well, she fell to the ground, she cried, she held a hand on her eye, and she began screaming for help. The game was halted, and then, sorry, someone's mic is on. Okay, the game was halted, and all her teammates came running to her. Well, she liked the attention and she removed her hand, but all her teammates started crying. She wondered, what's happening? Why are people crying? That was all that was running through her mind. But others were looking on the ground, looking for her eye. She was scared. This was all that was running through her mind at this point. So there was blood all over the pitch. They tried to take her off the sidelines, rushed her to the hospital on a motorcycle, you can imagine. The nurse tried to ameliorate the situation by nursing her wound, but the nurse told her that the wound wasn't that deep and just put a big plaster on her eye, you can imagine. My life is officially over, that's all she exclaimed, because all she wanted to do was take pictures the next day. She didn't care about the eye. She wanted just to take pictures. But as I had told you before, she's a responsible lady. The next day we had days for pictures. She managed to use the better side of her face. And she took pictures on that day. She returned home. They stitched her eye. And right now she's able to talk to a beautiful audience like you. Ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth no longer has the marks on her eye. She is now into self-development and telling stories on her podcast. That was my short story. Thank you.
Mama Elizabeth Kisaaka, you definitely are never short of humor and detail as well. It's always a splendor, more than actually a pleasure to listen to you, digress your stories and express yourself. Coming through. There is someone that perhaps has missed the, okay, I think we'll have it stabilized anyway. But if you do have your mic on, please see to it that we have that off. It's really, really disruptive. However, thank you so much, Miss Kisaaka, for the good old days for sure. I would definitely kill to see that entire movie unfold in a cinema for sure. However, then we'll definitely, in the interest of time, of course, we'll definitely jump onto Shadrack Kizza, and we'll have to hear what he has to offer for us. Perhaps what movie he's producing as well. What does his script have to say? Mr. Shadrack Kizza, please take on the platform.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen. If it's to be, then it's up to us. No one can give us the kind of future that we want. If we want better, it's up to us. I'm Shadrack Kizza away. Although looks can be deceiving, I'm 20 years of age, born 26th October 2000 in Mengo Hospital. I have been raised in Bulange and have studied, lived, and maybe even worked all my life in Kampala. And I share that story with many. However, that's not going to be me. I'm going to change the status quo, for I've never enjoyed boundaries. I prefer to live my life outside the box rather than in it. This translates to how I do my things. Growing up as the last born in a family of 5 with 2 siblings, a brother and a sister, which to most people translated to being a delicate branch, therefore calling for extra protection and restrictions to how far you're allowed to go. But for as long as I remember, I've always been curious. The same story followed as I grew older. I didn't like confinement or being in one place. I always wanted to know what was on the other side of where I lived. Even when put in new environments, I have always been interested in learning more about them. I have carried that curiosity with me from back then to my first day in childhood kindergarten, when I couldn't cry however much I wanted to, when I was dropped off and left there by my mom, or on the first day in primary at Sapolo Mengo, when I was even farther from home and with more than 80 new faces in a class or 1,000 new faces in the environment, but never found a reason to be afraid or even moved. Even the first day in boarding school in Budo A whole new experience, but I was more excited than worried about going months without being at home. Curiosity has always driven me to climb over boundaries to find out who I am on my own. It has given me the ability to seek, acquire knowledge and skills and ways of understanding the world. My parents, on realizing this from a young age, have created a space that has allowed me to exercise different options and encouraged me through them. At the age of 6, I discovered I was good at running at the 100-meter sprint dash, and I followed through with that. And for the greatest part of my time in primary, I was the fastest runner in my category. But that was short-lived when I reached Budo, and it was a whole different level, as I wasn't enough to be competitive in the top 10 of my age group. So that hobby died. But at the age of 11, I discovered my love for math and also my dislike for science. I was so good at numbers that every paper was an opportunity for me to practice my craft and maintain my streak for the best mathematician. But of course, that streak has been shaken many times than I can even count. Not one still evident is coming out of the primary math contest, being ranked 63rd in the country, and me entering the secondary math contest in my senior 2 and coming out the last with a 0. Nevertheless, my attitude towards the subject has never wavered. And that's why I chose to do the Bachelor of Statistics course at Makerere University. At the age of 14, I couldn't separate my life from scouting. My heart, my energy, for the greatest time as I started Budo late in that field. I enjoyed the activities. I learned survival skills, creative skills, and understanding the true meaning of service and duty. Scouting helped me grow my interpersonal skills. The trips taught me how to network and make friends from several places. I discovered my love for travel as it created opportunities for me to move across boundaries and explore the East African region. However, that was up until Thursday night in my senior 2. As I was passing by the French room at school, there was a group of old boys who were having a vocal exchange with each other on several topics representing different views. I was intrigued, and the memory of that night forever etched in my head. I couldn't help picture myself one day being part of those gentlemen and expressing myself and those ideas like they did. From then on, I wanted to be as eloquent, knowledgeable, informed, articulate, like those old boys in how they handled and exchanged their arguments. And I've been a debater since then. When you fast forward to date, my zeal for curiosity is what has driven me to find my passions in entrepreneurship, data science, coding, artificial intelligence, but most importantly, leadership. The culmination of my experiences in debate and scouting fed ambitions for a life in leadership. From scouts, where you start as any Boy Scout and move your way up the ranks by adding badges to become a troop leader, I was taught elements of patience, resilience, and hard work, which I apply in my leadership journey. I won't lie, at the time, I didn't know I was learning any of this, but becoming head prefect of King's College Budo was a moment of self-reflection for me as I looked back to where I had come from. People wouldn't see me getting rejected all my 4 years from being a class captain and a school council representative for my stream because the class teachers and the subject teachers didn't think I had what it takes, and some even barely knew me. So almost all the time I applied, I never even made it to the ballot. In my O-level still, I stood to be a junior debate president and lost by a landslide vote. Early in the year of my senior 5, when I thought I had proven myself an indispensable candidate in the Budo Debate Society, I was denied becoming vice president of that society. And not long after that, I lost an election of becoming president of Inter-House Club. Coming to the race for the highest office in school, everyone would write me off as an underdog with no history in leading any team whatsoever and the least favorite to my opponents. But being who I'm grown to be with resilience, I stuck through it and I was the underdog that came out on top. However, the major key takeaway for me in all of this were the hard lessons on understanding who a leader is. I learned to let my life in leadership count for something. With this and different reads of literature on great leaders have taught me the greatest lesson on value addition, and this is where I draw my life purpose and the mission statement I started with. We must always stay connected to our humanity in leadership. You are like the people you're leading first before you're selected to be ahead of the rest. As a result, I'm always reminded, even when I'm not in a position of power or leadership, that I must create meaning and value in the lives of others. And every undertaking I put my hands in, I've held onto that principle, and I'm always trying to look or create opportunity where I can add value. This is me, and this is what I want to create as my legacy. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. It says, my God, I couldn't hold my breath listening to you, like the way you are transitioning from one to the other subjects and like connecting the phases, and everything was making sense right from the beginning to the start, and everything was connected to the other in synchrony. I love the synchrony. I love the flow. I definitely love the confidence that was beaming all through your speech. It was something that I felt is a force that I would reckon with for sure. And you definitely did a good job. It didn't really seem like you are doing an icebreaker, and that for sure is something that is really admirable, and of course, also for the folks that are jumping on right now, I'm really seeing a bunch of people jumping in. We really appreciate you for taking in the time to jump in as well. And we hope you haven't missed so much for sure. And there's really quite a lot coming in. However, we will be jumping on to the next event, which will be the HarkMaster session from Marianna, Nakabuye. In the interest of time, of course, I just want to really make sure we cut the words in so short and fit in everything in the time that we have. So Miss Marianna Nakabuye, could you please do us the honors and take on the session as perhaps we would presume it to be?
Wow, those were such amazing speeches. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah, so I want to thank all of you for doing your icebreaker speeches. It's not really easy. It's a very trying moment, but thank you for doing that. I really love the speeches today. So basically, I'm going to repeat what I do again. So I ask questions to the audience, and you people get a chance to participate in the meeting. So I select randomly, then I give a question. So the first person I'm going to ask a question is Faith. Sorry, Fiona. Fiona, can you hear me? Fiona, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Yes. So my first question to you is, what was Liz Kisaaka's love when she entered high school? Hello, Fiona? Did you hear the question or should I repeat it?
Okay. Yes, I've had the question, but I don't remember.
Liz Kisaaka's love when she entered high school was not a boy, it was sports. Noah, are you on the meeting?
Yes, hello. Yeah, I'm in the meeting.
Yeah. So were you there for all the speeches? Can I ask you a question or you're not comfortable?
No, I'm comfortable, but unluckily I reached on the last icebreaker. The person who spoke last, yeah.
Okay. Can you mention some of the things that Kizza do?
Yeah. I think according, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, according to his speech, he said that he likes math, coding, data science, I think, then scouting, then I think, of course, orating. So, have I got it?
Okay. Can you also share with the club some of the things you like to do? For example, what things would you find interesting?
Yeah, it depends on on the field of interest we're talking about, whether it's work related, that can be in terms of engineering, technology, innovations, entrepreneurship. Then when it comes to entertainment, we can talk about music, sports like basketball, Formula One, and yeah, some chess games, and also in terms of reading and designing. Yeah, I think those can be some of my interests.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Lynette, were you there for all the three speeches? Are you comfortable with me asking you a question?
Hi, so I joined a bit late. I came in for Shadrack's speech only, and half of Elizabeth.
Okay. Of Lizzie's. Okay. Okay.
Miss HarkMaster, it seems as though your mic has gotten muted, either accidentally, most likely accidentally.
Okay. Okay, I think accidentally. Okay. My next question goes to Patricia. Patricia, are you on? Hello. Okay. Maybe she's not. Okay.
Yes, I am, but
Okay. My question to you is that who mentioned this in their speech? Driven by the thing you strive.
pardon?
Who mentioned this in their speech? Driven by the thing you strive to achieve.
Okay, I think I'm improving now.
Okay.
Shadrack, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Okay. The person who mentioned that in their speech was Karungi Clever. Okay. Thank you for taking part in that HarkMaster session. I think that's all I have for this session. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Hosni, you're muted.
Oh, my apologies. Well, I guess it's now square because apparently the previous speaker also did have the same issue. So I guess we're now even square, easy peasy lemon squeezy. But yeah, that was me covering up for my tracks. But anyway, thank you so much, Ms. Nakabuye, for the HarkMaster session. For sure, we really appreciate it. However, also for the folks that did jump in late and perhaps you got picked, do not feel bad. I mean, most of the folks did also come in late. That is not your fault. You definitely understand the fact that perhaps you came on a little bit late. You had a few engagements here and there, and you may not have been able to answer correctly, not because you are not intelligent, but because you missed the part. And hopefully, well, it's all good, you know, it's all good. There is no sweat, there is no hustle, there's no tussle about it. So we'll be going for a break. I'm thinking of a very creative way to go for a break. However, I feel like in the interest of time, you know, we don't really have so much on our table, you know, and I feel like the best thing that we could perhaps tender to our tables right now is the table topic station from Mr. Atamba Moses. You know, if you don't mind, of course, could you please jump on and walk us through this session as smoothly as you can make it possible? Mr. Atamba, your microphone is actually muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
You can? Oh yeah, thank you. Like I told you, my name is Atamba Moses, and I'm going to be taking you through table topics tonight. This session is quite different from the HarkMasters because this just triggers your mind. You're just going to be given relatable topics, abrupt topics, and I'm going to be selecting people from the call randomly. So you'll be telling us what you think about what I'll be asking you. You get? So this just helps us, think straight, think very fast. Let me have a look at the people in the call. Fiona Nabugwere. Are you around, Fiona?
Yes, hello. I'm around.
Oh, that's perfect. I have a simple question for you. They always tell us the future is bright, the future lies ahead. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So what scares you most about your future? Just what do you think? What scares you most about your future, your own future? With feel free to answer at your convenience. Did you get me right?
Yes, I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Okay.
You have 2 minutes. I don't know if the time mentioned it. You have 2 minutes to talk about what you think about the different topics.
What scares me most about the future is the fact that I've not yet decided whether how I'll balance family and career, my own family and my career. Yes, I've not yet made that decision, so that scares me.
Oh, wow, perfect. Thank you. So balancing between your desire, your career, and your profession and your family. Okay, that is very nice. Thank you, Fiona. Moving on, I want to select one more person. I want to select 4 people, including gender balance. Derek Mugabe.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I have a simple question for you. Do you think being too religious is dangerous? What do you think about being too religious? What do you
It
think
is
about
actually like asking, is it dangerous to take poison? Well, it is very dangerous.
Okay, you can give us a brief about it. Why do you think it's dangerous?
Well, to me, I think religion is a tool of the imperialistic powers, but well, being Christian is different from being religious. I believe you can believe in Christ, but don't be too religious. And because when you be too religious, that means you're giving in to the imperialistic powers and their sentiment or what they really wanted to make us believe about religion. I find it rather different. I mean, I find it, the translation of the Bible differs with mindset, by the way. So people who are too religious, the way you hear the word ora et labora, which means prayer and work, they never even understand that. You find that people who are too religious think that you have to pray until something happens, but rather it is different. You have to pray and work. That's the thing. So people who are too religious are actually so toxic, but people who understand the Bible from an empowered mindset point of view are different. And that's what I would recommend.
Thank you. That was very insightful. Yeah, thank you. Let me pick a lady in the call. Yeah, I think this is a lady. Marie Curie. Are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
All right. I have 3 random words for you, and I want you to pick out one and tell us something about it. You could give us a story. You could give us a personal experience. Just tell us something about it. like I told you, this session is just intended to quicken how you organize your thoughts and your speech. So I have three words. I have war, I have confusion, sorry, and I have gender. Number one is war, then confusion, then gender. So you could pick out one and give us a story or an experience about it. Did you get me right?
Okay, I'm going to pick gender.
Gender. Okay.
The story I
Go
have
ahead.
about it, like a short story.
Yeah, you could give us a short story, you could give us a personal experience, you could give us what you think based on statistics, you made some research, anything.
Okay, a story about gender. I study from Bara University. Okay, that's School of Science and Technology. And what I've realized in my class, we have very few girls, and the boys in our class don't actually they don't pay much attention to girls. Even if you make a contribution, for example, in a discussion group or in class, and you're trying to correct them when you see that something they're doing is really wrong, and yeah, and let's not what the lecturer said or something. It's like they're kind of okay. There are times when I used to think that they are deaf or something, and then I interacted with other girls in my class, and they also commented the same thing. And I think it's kind of like gender imbalance, or they really think girls are really daft in total. I have nothing more to say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I like the speeches. People are really, I don't know if it's because we are doing virtual. This is really awesome. Lastly, I want to pick up on Jen. Mark, Sentongo, are you on?
Yes, I'm on. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. So I have a small argument here. I have a question, in fact. Do you think it would have been wise enough? God had given us the authority to choose the sex of our children. Do you think it would have been wise enough?
Wow, that's an interesting
To
question.
tell us if it was good, yeah.
Okay, see, I believe there is a gift in choicelessness to some point. See, where we are right now, we are all very happy with who we are, mostly. I've not come across anyone who wishes they were another gender. So I really think there's a gift in that choicelessness. However, there are those who would want, if you give birth, you'd want only a boy or something. But in the end of it all, you don't know what they will turn out to be. Some believe, we are coming from an African traditional setting. Some believe it's boys who will be able to inherit the property and look after it properly. But all those can be different depending on how these people brought up. So I believe the choicelessness still wins. And I believe we are good where we are at. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Mark. Okay, this is it's a very strong argument because it presents very many points on either side. So we've seen very many people standing out to oppose good choice. God made them female and they want to be male. God made them male and they want to be female. That's where homosexuality arises, gays being, such things. So it's a very strong argument. And thank you for your views. I'd love to thank everyone who's participated in this session. You guys have been very articulate with your views and points. How we're going to do this, we are going to vote. We're going to have to vote for the best table topic. And how we are going to do it is everyone on the call will DM me their best table topic for the day. Just to go through the people that gave their views. we had Fiona was the first speaker. She was talking about her future, what cares most about the future. That was Fiona. Then we went on to Derek. He spoke about, he gave us his views on being religious. How dangerous is it for someone to be so religious? The third was Mary, she chose gender, to talk about gender. I gave her an option. I gave her 3 options and she chose gender. Lastly, we had Mark. He was talking about God's choice. If we had the choice to choose children's sex, that was Mark. So we have Mark, we have Fiona, we have Derek, we have Mary Curie. So you could DM me who you think was your best table topic for the day. Then I'll be back, I think, with you, the final winner of the day. Back to you, Professor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Atamba Moses, for the table topic session. I actually felt like the last one was really hearty and touchy, deciding the sex of our children for sure. Because honestly, if you were to ask me, I would say I would really love to contribute to the process, you know. Because sometimes the best gifts are the ones that you contribute to the makings, you know. And if I could determine that last bit, I would really score in, you know, my opinion. But again, I couldn't agree with you any less, you know, when folks are then, you know, find themselves in the shambles of having to decide what gender they want to be, or perhaps unfortunately being in a gender that I don't think there is anything such as unfortunate. I mean, like, you are just there because, well, you are supposed to be there, you know, and you can't have it any other way. And besides, the other way is just ridiculous. I mean, anyway, this is not the place or time to talk about all the all the hobby doubles of all that foolishness. But my apologies. But regardless, I'd like to call on the evaluators of the day. And we'll start with Mr. Tony. He will be evaluating Kalunji Charles. Definitely will be looking forward to listening into what you have to commend about his speech and perhaps the things that he can improve on, a thing or 2 tweaks here and there that perhaps he could do better on. Please take on the platform, Mr. Tony.
Thank you very much, our Toastmaster for the day. I must say the Toastmaster is very interesting. I think you're doing the best. So going on the evaluation, I'm evaluating Clever Karungi. And was giving us our icebreaker. I must say that Trevor's network was okay. Trevor gave us the background about his journey and everything. And I believe all of us in the club, all of us know more.
We cannot hear you clearly. The buzzing in the microphone.
Am I audible?
Yes, please. Now you are audible.
Tony, I cannot hear you. You were buzzing. You kept on buzzing. Now you are. Yes.
Okay. Let me start again. Trevor's network was okay, and Trevor gave me the background about his journey.
If I may suggest, Mr. Tony, I hate to interrupt you, but if I may suggest, could you please turn on any other electric devices that could be around you, perhaps a television station or maybe your Go TV set, whatever that could be. It could be perhaps the cause of the interference. Just turn it off for a bit. Perhaps your network will be a little bit more stable. Try that.
So
it still seems to be a pain.
Yeah, I've switched off everything.
Okay. Then I guess the guys at the telecom station definitely have personal issues with you.
Okay, I get what from Odubeka.
Okay, so let's try to get through the nuts and bolts of that. Well, then, as a matter of fact, we'll perhaps go on to the next evaluators, then we'll come back to you last, just to give you enough time to season through the network. So as Mr. Tony gets a hold and a hang of his network, we'll perhaps go to Mr. Emmanuel Akandwanaho. He will be evaluating Kisaaka Lee's, the film producer, definitely of the good old days, if I reckon correctly. Mr. Emma, could you please take on the floor and let us know what perhaps she could perfect and what perhaps she could polish?
Thank you so much, Master. And today I happen to have been Elizabeth's evaluator, and I might say congratulations, Elizabeth, upon successfully giving your icebreaker speech. It was quite humorous in a way. And also, I love the power in your speech. And as Elizabeth was giving her first speech, and if you must have noticed, her video was on, her camera was on, and she was smiling. There was joy when she was giving her speech. And this also was light in my heart. I saw, there's a time when she talked about the nosy parents, and perhaps that had that gave us a bit of laughter, gave us joy. We also understand parents can be protective, but at the same time, they want the best in. So we're able to learn definitely the most someone whose audio is on, so that we do not interrupt the evaluation. Thank you so much, Master. Okay, thank you.
If you do
So
have
as I was
your
saying, there's this interesting part. Yes, the most interesting part that I love was took us through the journey. We went to we were watching the movie called Days. And thank you so much. You took us all the way from back to the 17 years. We had to imagine, use words like you can imagine. So I also was, oh yeah, I can also imagine, I can relate with your story. You told us about the love, the true love of your life, the true love you met back then in high school. Well, if I was a person, I would think the true love you met was a guy. I was quite surprised that it was hockey to learn about that you love for a girl. I was like, okay, this is interesting, yeah? So then, you kept smiling. I loved your facial expressions, the way you smiled, the way you kept your calmness. And then, of course, the audience was glued. If everyone was standing on their video, they could literally see there was light in your eyes. They could see the smile. Is that part when you said, she explained, there was a vocal variety, in terms of sorrow, you raised up, you changed your vocal variety, and then you went back. We could understand, oh, this is a moment of sorrow. This is the moment where when she got the injury, you raised the vocal, your tone of voice. And then we could understand, this is, when you were struck. So we could see the pain within you and you had our attention. That is something that I really loved about your speech. I loved most about your facial expressions. You took your time, you were very calm, I might say, in your speech. But here is something that I thought you could be able to change. These are things that you could improve next time when you're giving your speech. One is the transition of speech right from the beginning. Well, this is your icebreaker. I started on this on the 27th of July, 2021. Well, we could, over time, we need to have a very big introduction. You could be a little bit powerful in your speech, where you either bring it a question, something that is intriguing, that is going to indulge the audience. Then with your transition, the transition in your speeches were great. And I wish you nothing but the best in your speech. All you need to do is mainly you can also look at reducing at your speech tone, where you can feel more bit calmer, if something is really, it's a bad time when you lost your grandfather, we want to see the sorrow in your face. Yes, you talked about, how you went to high school. We wanted to know which school was it that you went to. those some little details that we don't want to miss out the story. We're in a movie, we don't want to see each and everything. When this cinema, so we're watching a 3D movie, we don't want to miss out on the details. Otherwise, thank you so much. I really love your speech. The most important part is that your evaluator was to look out how you can get the attention of the audience. And if I'm to rank you on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give you an 8. This is something that, at times I was just thinking, were you people giving your icebreaker speeches? So yes, congratulations, Elizabeth, upon giving your first icebreaker speech in Gavel Club. I wish to see more of your speeches over and over time. And also one thing that I would lastly, re-echo on, we also got to learn about her interest. She's now into podcasts. She tells stories. So most of us would also want to learn more about your podcast and, get to listen more of your stories that you share. Otherwise, thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Akandwanaho. I feel like that was, if you're speaking and you perhaps get a review from one of the best to have ever done it and still is doing it, a living legend for sure, and you do have quite very close to the heart remarks, it really warms the heart, I definitely don't know which side of the bed Kisaaka is going to be sleeping on, but I'm very certain it's not the center. After those kinds of very, very... very heartwarming remarks, it really, really leaves to beg what was missing. And I definitely failed to see what that was. But anyway, we definitely will have Mr. Kahaika on to give us his feedback on Mr. Shadrack Kizza, the man who definitely said that looks can really be deceiving. And for sure, I do agree with that. Earlier before we jumped on, Emma was really pushing me to put on my camera, and I told him I'm very confident about my looks today. It would be actually very ameliorating if I didn't turn on the camera, for the day. So regardless, Mr. Kahaika, please take on the platform and let us know your thoughts about Shadrack Kizza's speech.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. I am very excited to be Mr. Shadrack's Toastmaster. Evaluator of the day. There's actually nothing much to ameliorate about Mr. Shadrack's speech. It sounded very superb. I don't know if he's on the call. However, he did so well on the following things. He was really audible. Anyone could hear his speech. There was a very interesting flow. It sounded like a poem. It sounded like a rap. Like everyone could just flow with it, like they were listening to a Kendrick Lamar rap. You get. So there was clarity in his speech that everyone who was listening in could tell. This guy is trying to tell us about his life, where he came from, how he grew up, which school he went to, Sao Paulo, Primary, Mengo, King's College, Budo, talking about his achievements, debate club, here and there. So there was much clarity in his speech. And he used a very interesting, simple language. He didn't use so many big words, hula balu, what. His speech was really calm. There was an interesting use of conjunctions, English conjunction, simple English grammar. Somewhere he uses nevertheless, and it keeps the people who are good with formal English intact to the speech. And his speech was quite inspirational because he talks about how at some point he had never won an election, class councillor, what. And people didn't believe that this guy could actually take up a big role in school. So he later on became the head prefect of King's College Budo, and that's inspiration. There was energy in his speech, oh my God, like from the start to the end. And nothing I can say about this speech that wasn't really okay. However, a few things that Kizza Shadrack can work on to improve on his public speaking. He sounded like he was doing a poem or a rap. He sounded quite fast. If you could take it slow, take it easy, make it sound like a speech, don't make it sound like a rap. No one can listen to rap. Much as people here were interested in what you were saying, but don't rap it, speak it, because it was good content. Then he uses short words to mean King's College Budo, in short, is Budo. So he uses Budo in the speech, like state the entire word, King's College Budo. Don't shorten the word because you're giving a formal speech. Then the other thing is the flow was disrupted. I told him I'm going to be keen about the plot of the story. You take us through from Sao Paulo Mengo to King's College Budo, Senior 2. Then you take us to Junior Debating Club, Senior Debating Club. Then you took us to why you chose to do Bachelors of Statistics at university. Then you take us back to Senior 2. Like there was a disruption in the flow of the story. Let the plot go on continuously. Don't take us to campus, then bring us back to Senior 2. Then take us to Senior 6, then P7. You get it? Let the flow go chronologically. Then there was less gestures used, but nonetheless, the speech was superb, and I would like to congratulate Mr. Shadrack Kizza upon finishing his first project in the Makerere Gavel Club. It was his first project, but this guy sounded like he was being the new
Okay, so it definitely seems to have been going on right now. Like you do something fast and then you kind of slow it down, and it's like, so I guess Mr. Kahaika was trying to pull one of those on us. But regardless, thank you so much for the feedback. I loved how well you are very observant about some of these aspects, you know, because perhaps we could have missed them. It was perhaps something that, I mean, for me, I was really enjoying the speech. I loved how he was, you know, transitioning from one subject to the other and relating and correlating every single thing. But I missed the fact that he was, you know, moving from Senior 2 to Senior 6, and then from Senior 6 to, you know, like the chronology was not there. But regardless, it needed someone so keen and someone so real and raw in the game, you know, to actually pick that. I feel like that was a masterpiece of a review, just like his hoodie, but that's still on sale. But I love that it really was, or perhaps is, something that I would love to work on with. But regardless, I'm wondering if we can get Mr. Tony back on. He was supposed to be our first evaluator, but definitely seemed like he had an issue with one of the guys at the telecom centers. I hope they have resolved their dispute as of now, and they could perhaps come to terms and just allow us have this review for Mr. Kalonji Charles. Mr. Tony, are we safe to assume that we can have you on now?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, yes. I guess I'm audible now. Thank you very much for the patience and everything. I don't know what really had happened. So I'm evaluating Clever, and I must say Clever gave a wonderful speech. I credit Clever's network vis-a-vis his evaluators network. We shall have that discussion for another day. Trevor gave us a background of his speech about his family, his education, and the hula baloos our new lawyers taught us vocabularies in our meeting here. Trevor's speech was interesting and he was very audible. The internet was superb. I must say that I was ameliorated, but I wasn't ameliorated, but I was mesmerized and I loved the speech. I must say I was very impressed. Trevor's speech was kind of brief, but on point. You know, it was so catching the attention. And I loved the fact that our timekeeper was throwing in 2 minutes, because I could see the minutes here.
and I believe it guided Trevor a lot on how to see how to fasten up and finish up the speech. I must say that I must appreciate again our Toastmaster. Our Toastmaster has done a very wonderful job, and we appreciate the nice words, some new nice vocabularies that are normal to you, but they were interesting. We learned, I noted down some new words on my end. Trevor's speech was a replica of hope, not losing hope, and also a life that was lived. Because when Trevor was showing us his struggles, he showed us that he was, at some point, he was striving to some things, and he achieved some of those things, meaning he lived some of the things he really strived for. And I didn't really quote down the statement, but I remember I think it was the HarkMaster, she asked someone that statement. That statement was, it was like a summary of Trevor's life in general. Maybe if I wasn't all ears, but Trevor, I didn't hear you using the word of the day. I stand to be corrected on that. So next time, if you didn't use it, please put that into consideration. And I believe in line with the competent communications manual of the Gavel Club, I think Trevor is above the bar and everything is very well. However, I would prophesy, if I would choose to be called Pastor Raymond at the moment, that Trevor is a wonderful speaker and a very good speaker if he just adds in a little effort, because for me, I was extremely impressed. And then wonderful. And I thank the HarkMaster for being patient with me. I must say, I feel sorry for my network, but it's something that I really expected, because, okay, I thought I was somewhere where I'm very high, but otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tony, for the kind words and for the appreciation as well. It really goes from heart to heart and from mind to mind as well. And it's definitely something that would be of record for quite a couple of days with me, and of course with Mr. Karungi Charles for sure. And regardless, I also want to take this opportunity to appreciate all the icebreaker speeches, all the people, right from Karungi to Liz to Mr. Kizza as well. We really appreciate you so much. Firstly, for the courage, to get up here and express yourself, and tell your stories and be as vulnerable and as fragile as possible, because some of the things that you've shared with us are conversations that are perhaps very hard to have, firstly with yourself, and then with like a whole public of people like this. So I believe it should be very ameliorating for you to be able to say these things wide open and not have to, shama or shiva about some of these things. So regardless, I really want to appreciate you very much as well, from my heart to yours. And I hope you keep on showing up and doing the good job that you're doing, and also keeping in touch with your evaluators. These are definitely people that are generals, with stars beyond their shoulders can carry. And they definitely will be the folks that will take you to heights that are very unsurmountable and unimaginable. Then I would of course reckon that we will have to take on the general evaluator as well to call on the roll takers. I do feel a little bit oblivious though on who the general evaluator is. I guess I will assume the position. If I stand to be corrected though, Emma, I do not know who the general evaluator is. That is for sure something that I say with a lot of pride, but again with a lot of inquisitivity. Mr. Emma, was that, did we intend to have a general evaluator?
Yeah, I think I am the general evaluator.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. The cape I'm putting on is not only supposed to ameliorate my looks, that's if it's doing so, but also show that I'm putting on another combat to stand in for another office. So I'm so excited to be the general evaluator for this meeting, and I'm going to take this opportunity to invite role takers that have been doing a great job behind the scenes, and I would like to call upon the grammarian, Miss Abitimo Rebecca, to tell us how we use some good grammar, or we have to improve on our grammar. Is there a place where we reached and it was just not English? We're using Lunglish, perhaps. So, dear grammarian, please take on the stage and take us through how the grammar was used throughout the week, throughout the session.
Thank you so much once again, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As I said earlier, as a grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language use. So I promise to come back at this particular session and report on the usage of the grammar as well as the word of the day. Now, my role is a little bit tricky because honestly, we're not here to criticize each other, but to build each other and help us grow, especially in the use of English. So let's dive into that. I will start with our icebreaker speakers. First of all, congratulations upon your icebreaker speeches. They were amazing. I should say an icebreaker speech is one of the hardest steps and yet the most important step to take in the Gavel Club. So congratulations. They were really amazing. Now, what is beyond? That is Karungi clever. Your speech was quite intriguing. I actually learned a lot from it, but the use of articles is what majorly is an issue. For example, you talked about making friends and you said, and quote, make as many friends, and that was it. Now, when you're using the word as, it's usually a comparative, yes? So it's best to use it in comparison to something, as big as something, as long as something, to make as many friends as you can. That is basically how the word is meant to be used rather. For the word of the day, you did a great job at encompassing it in your speech at least once, which was really great. For Elizabeth Kisaaka, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. I hope I did. The good old days. You put us in a Cinemax situation. That was really amazing. But one thing you should know is that once you put individuals in a situation like that, it is our imagination that is active. Therefore, the words that you use are very impacting to us, the audience. The point where, I mean, you play hockey, first of all, that's a very bougie sport. But to an individual who has not played hockey before, we are imagining the equipment that you use. So when you say something like, you held your hand to your eye and the blood was all over the pitch, I'm thinking a bloodbath, right? When you say the blood was all over the pitch, I'm picturing an entire, say, a zombie apocalypse, yeah? Is it an apocalypse? Yeah. And the entire pitch is filled with blood. So when you use the word all over, you need to be sure that the entire vicinity is actually filled with blood. So we need to be able to use particular words in a way that they're meant to be. For example, if the blood is, say the blood is oozing in a particular place and it's filled in the vicinity, that would be a perfect way to make us picture how it was. Other than that, it was a great speech. You used the word of the day at least once, and that was really great. That was amazing. When you use words like full of unfamiliar faces, is it full of or is it filled with? Those are two different alternatives. It is a great way. It is a great way to actually make us picture a situation like that, but we need to be cautious in the words that we use. You had a very good use of English, which you should really be proud of, considering it's your first project and you are very well put together. Congratulations again. Shadrack, you had quite a put together speech, I should say. Very good use of English, very intriguing words. Some even I had to look for and jot down. It was great. It was great. It was an interesting speech, you know. I had like so much to say about it. But generally, you have a good use of English. It is a problem to the audience. You know, members, I should say, when we are coming here to make our speeches, most of us, I should say most of us, are here to impress the audience. So we are looking at using big words as opposed to using words that can actually be understood and relate with the audience. So Shadrack had an amazing speech, good use of English, but I feel like even for me, there were some words that were very well close together and were not very necessary, I should say. But it was a great thing. It was a great thing. A repetition is one thing that I actually noticed for majority of the speakers, the evaluators included. Now, repetition is simply repeating a word within a short space of words. So when you say something like, let the flow go on continuously, let the flow on go on continuously, I can understand that. Anyone can understand that. But how about let it flow, or let it go continuously? These are the words that are in the two space together, and it's much easier or better to separate them and put them in a much better situation. I hope that you're following. The use of a word of the day. The use of the word of the day was fairly good, with our Toastmaster trying his very best to encompass it in every sentence that he puts across, which is a good thing. Tony Raymond was one of the evaluators, and I think I had a problem. With the way he was using the word of the day. I don't know if it's the pressure to use the word of the day, but when you are using a verb, it's a descriptive word. So when you use it in the way of an adjective, it does not make sense. So when we are using the words of the days, it's important to know whether it's an adjective or a verb, so you can be able to make sense out of it. Yes? So generally, this session is not to criticize any individual, because we are all at the same point here. It's just to enable us understand the use of verbs, adjectives, the use of synonyms, the use of breaking down words so they can be easier for our audience to understand. Yes, I mean, there is quite a lot of things that I would go on and on and on about, but it's important for us to be able to make our audience comfortable and to make them understand the points that we're trying to put across. Other than that, thank you so much. The speakers, the evaluators, the Toastmaster, all the role takers, and everyone who is present in this meeting. I know for sure that you've taken back something, and that is what this meeting is all about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Grammarian, for ameliorating on our English. We are very excited to have you in this meeting. The next role taker is going to be the accounter, Mr. Oloya Joseph. Please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Davis. I'll try my best to make this quick because I know time is not on our side. As I said, the Toastmaster, Mr. Hosni, was my first culprit when it came to using pause filters. But I think my warning went a long way in ameliorating the frequency of his use of pause fillers. Davis used pause fillers a couple of times. R, A. One for A was I think the most highly used pause filler. It'd be like A, continue with something like that. Atamba used R a couple of times. Then, to my surprise, I expected the speakers to use the speakers delivering the icebreakers to use pause fillers quite frequently. On the contrary, I did not find any of them using any pause fillers. I was quite impressed. But then it was perhaps the role takers who were using pause fillers the most. A couple of them included Marianna, our HarkMaster. She used a lot of ya, R. Our Tabletopics master, Mr. Atamba Moses, used R a couple of times. Then you get. I was trying to explain something. He says you get. Then Derek Mugavi, that's one of the participants in the Tabletopics, used a lot of R. Marie Curie, one of the Tabletopics participants, also used a lot of R. Mark Sentongo used a couple of pause fillers R. Then you know was the most highly used when it came to his speech. Tony Raymond used a couple of pause fillers. That was one of the evaluators. I think that's basically it. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Back
very much.
to you, Davis.
Thank you very much, the accounter, Mr. Oloya Joseph. Lastly, we want to have the timer, Emily, Hope, Nyakober. Please come and tell us how we used our time today. Is Emily Hope on the call? Well, perhaps we have lost her. She had an issue with her Wi-Fi. It kept going off, on and off, as electricity was going on and off as well. So we shall skip that role for now. Probably we shall get the report later after the meeting if she didn't come back anyway. So for my report as a general evaluator, the meeting started at exactly 7:03, much as was supposed to start at 7. So the 3 minutes, Mr. Toastmaster and the Sergeant at Arms must be accountable for the late starting of the meeting by 3 minutes. The meeting was successful to a small extent because to a large extent, there were quite a number of hula balloons and higgy haggers in the meeting. People going on and off, the network being unstable. Being our first meeting after a long time, I expected it. I'm not surprised that we are a little bit disorganized. Some of the role takers were not certain of what they were supposed to do. The Toastmaster, for instance, forgot to invite the general evaluator in the very first time when he was introducing the role takers. The grammarian forgot to introduce the word of the day, prima facie to her being called to introduce herself as a role taker. Not until the Toastmaster reminded her to introduce the word of the day. And in addition, the word of the day is supposed to be printed out and shared as a screen recording when you are talking about your role as the grammarian. The timer has faced the biggest problem in this meeting. She has been on and off. She forgot to introduce her role in the sense of how she's supposed to do it. When the Toastmaster of the day calls upon role takers to introduce themselves, what is required of you as a role taker is, one, you tell us what you're going to do in the meeting. Two, how you are going to do it. Timer, how are you going to time us? You're going to screen record a number of colors, yellow, green, red, after a certain duration. Which color is going to come after 2 minutes, 4 minutes, then 6 minutes. Then the timer didn't tell the speakers how much time they were supposed to use in total, because every icebreaker is supposed to take about 6 minutes. Every table topics participant is supposed to take about 2 minutes. And when you use less than 1 minute, that's an underperformance. You are supposed to at least take 1 minute. The table topics master, Mr. Atamba. At first, you are not on the call when you are invited to introduce your role. Then when you came back, you didn't tell us what a table topic session is. It is an impromptu session where you randomly choose someone among the guests in the audience to give a few speeches in about 2 minutes. And you are supposed to explain to the audience why table topics, what is the role of table topic. It's supposed to help people think on their feet. This is another way of preparing for elevator pitches. Then the other thing about table topics, it was an interesting session. However, try to avoid Q&A questions in table topics. Questions that require yes, no answers, or answers of one sentence. Try to make a table topic session that's going to compel someone among the guests and the audience to give a short speech of 2 minutes. So I saw the debate did it, but then there are questions you ask and someone can say no or yes. Try to avoid those as a table topics master. The other thing is the table topics participants. Don't take the table topic session as a burden of performance. It is actually an opportunity for you to speak, having not been called upon to speak according to the program. So take it as an opportunity to talk, to give your short speech. Don't come and start saying, "Hi, people, I was not prepared. You didn't even tell me that I was going to speak." That's why it is an impromptu session. Be resilient. Don't give up on the speech. Assume you are giving a speech. One way of giving an impromptu speech, just start giving it. You think as you speak. And you may not start the speech well, but at least end it well. Say thank you. That is it I had to share about what I fear most about my future. Don't say, "Me, I've stopped there. That's all I have to say." It is not a punishment. It's not porter. You are doing it to improve on your speaking skill. The other thing is I would love to commend the evaluators. You did a great job to evaluate. It showed that you have been in the system. You've done these things before. You've given your icebreaker speeches. Now you know what to look out for in a speech. Mr. Kahaika Davison, when you are evaluating Shadrack, you forgot to state the title of the speech while evaluating. It is very important for an evaluator to state the title of their speakers. So it is hello. The other thing is the speakers. Congratulations to everyone who has accomplished your first project in the Makerere Gavel Club. Elizabeth Kisaaka. It was a very captivating beginning of your speech. That was very good a technique to use in public speaking. You used symbolism in the sense of creating a movie scenario. You're not narrating a movie, you're narrating a speech, but then you put it in the place of a movie. So you are exciting us who love movies. So you're using symbolism. That is a very interesting technique to use. You further went ahead and called hockey the love of your life. That was another interesting symbolism you used there. Mr. Clever, it was a very interesting and captivating start you used of, is it Jeff Bezos? One of the richest men in the world. It was a very good, captivating start. The chronology, you skipped an episode when you were giving your speech. I don't know if I missed it, but if I remember well, I stand to be corrected. You tell us how you got 4 aggregate in P7. Then the next thing we had was you got 19 points in the 6. So what happened in S4? Don't skip an episode if it is a series. Don't take us from episode 1 to episode 3. What happened in episode 2? So that was rather still a very good speech you gave as your first project in the Makerere Gavel Club. One thing I have noticed in the speakers who gave their speeches today, man, they have done this thing before. In our days, speaking was hard on your icebreaker stage. I will never forget that day. Hezron gave his icebreaker speech. Ladies and gentlemen, Hezron froze. He told the audience, I have lost my speech. It was real. Man, a year down the road, Hezron was giving the best speech in a Gavel Club meeting. So what does this call for? Man, keep doing it. If you want to be a great artist, keep painting, keep drawing, keep sketching. If you want to be a great speaker, keep speaking. Grab these opportunities to be a speaker. There's a new setting of the Toastmasters levels, and we're going to be following it from this meeting onwards. And whoever's given their icebreaker speech in this meeting, you are on level 1. And in level 1, we have icebreaker speeches, feedback, and something about feedback. When you are given feedback, you are supposed to go back and work on your feedback. You either give the same speech or another speech, but this time round, working on the feedback that your evaluator gave you, that you are supposed to work on. For instance, Mr. Shadrack, your speech was superb, but you took it a little fast and it sounded like a rap, if not a poem. How about you change the construction technology of your speech and make it rather more of a speech than a poem? So that's why you were supposed to be very keen when your evaluators were evaluating you and giving you feedback, because your next project is going to have to be you working on whatever your evaluator told you to work on. And after that, your next project under level 1 will be research and presentation. You go and research about any topic of your choice and come and present a speech about it. That will be after you correcting or embarking on the evaluation report. Because after the evaluation report, you're supposed to learn how to evaluate as well. So that before you give your speech of research and presentation, you will have to evaluate someone. After evaluating someone, you go to your last project under level 1. And we intend to give certificates to whoever shall graduate after every level. Other than that, I'm very excited to have been the general evaluator of today's meeting. And I would love to take back the microphone to the Toastmaster of the day, who will invite the Sergeant at Arms to close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kahaika Davis, for sure. I was actually running through the comments quite a bit, and I felt very, very provoked to read quite a few of them. And Chris Pine Tinega commented that Davison is a teacher for sure, with the emoji smile. That really made that she was really taking in the message and really appreciating it. I just kept pulling for myself. Someone is really, Joseph Oloya says, he's really looking forward to that joke of the day from myself, from yours truly. Then someone said, was it again Joseph Oloya? He also said that did Davis actually just correct himself in the third person? And yes, for sure, that was something that I found very hilarious as well. I mean, I thought for a second that perhaps you're correcting someone else, only to see that I apparently noticed that someone else had actually noticed that you had recorrected yourself. But again, that's also very ameliorating to know that you are making an effort to keep track of yourself, because you see, the best creators, the best people that have ever done anything or perhaps created anything, the first mark of their excellence is their ability to observe themselves and keep track of themselves as well, So I feel like that was something that was really, really remarkable that you did right there. But again, I also want to congratulate all the folks that have been able to jump on right from the beginning up to the end, even though you perhaps did not participate actively. For all those that have been sending in the text messages, we have been reading them, we have been catching them indeed. Perhaps we were not able to reply to them in real time, because for the most part, we need to keep our attention glued to the screen just as much as to the text as well. So that was something that we really appreciated.
Mr. Toastmaster.
David seems to want to say something. Yes, please.
I would love to announce something. The Sergeant at Arms is supposed to announce the best Tabletopics participant, and the best Tabletopics participant is going to win themselves data during the course of the week. We don't want to mention how much that we're going to give, because everyone wants to get Tabletopics participant. That's it.
Okay, that goes without saying. So you've had it for yourself. I'm not going to repeat that, definitely, but whether you win or not, I do want to tell you that the courage that you took to come on here and to say what you had to say was really something. And I bet there is no better reward for you than that. The data is always something that can come in hand. It's just a bonus, but the fact that you actually took in the courage to come and say a few things here and there is really something that, you should go to bed very proud of yourself. And as for the Sergeant at Arms, I definitely would be very honored and privileged to have him come on to the show and let us know what he has to have for the people and for the folks, and perhaps his remarks on the meeting in general. Then I'll give the joke. Mr. Sergeant at Arms.
Mr. Toastmaster, can I say one thing?
Sure.
I just wanted you to recognize guests that in the meeting. This is from Kenya. So I wanted you they could unmute themselves, raise their hand so that they could introduce themselves before the audience. Maybe also give a rating to the meeting, how they found the meeting, how we performed. Going that can always improve for better. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. I did miss quite a bit of what you were saying that I will not say with any shame. I think perhaps my network is a little bit disruptive, but what he said for sure is definitely what perhaps we could accord with. Would you like to repeat what you said? But if perhaps the folks heard what you said, then we could just go with that.
All right, thank you. I was just reminding the Toastmaster that if at all we could be able to request the guests who have joined in the meeting to be able to unmute themselves and give us their view or their feedback. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, that would be very splendid. If you do have any feedback that you'd like to give, whichever way, shape, or form you'd like to have it, you don't have to turn on your camera if you don't want to. You can just raise your hand and I will definitely get you on, either me or Emma or Davison. All of us at least have the consent to get you on. So if you do have something you'd like to say,
Chris Pine has something to say.
Yeah. Or we could just do it over text if you feel uncomfortable. Hello.
Richard has something to say. Chris Pine has something to say. Maybe this is how we're going to do it. You will just have to unmute and say something. Yeah.
Okay, just to keep the integrity of the meeting, at least everybody that will have something to say, we'll give them at least a minute and then let another person jump on in the interest of time as well. So I will go with Christian first. Chris Pine.
Thank you very much, Hosni and Makerere in general. I'm Crispin Tinega from Kenya, JQuat Toastmasters Gavel Club. So this is a Gavel Club situated at Jomo Kenyatta University of Technology in Kenya. And yeah, at least I've interacted with Emmanuel, Rebecca, Marianna way back. And it's really nice to be here. I really enjoyed your meeting. And yeah, considering right now we do tech physical meetings on our side, I just wish we had online meetings so that I can also invite you guys. But I really enjoy your meeting. I really enjoyed your meeting and I'm glad to be here. I like the vibe, Hosni, if I pronounce that right. At first, when I listened to you, I really wondered if do you present in a radio or something? Because yeah, I felt the vibe of it. And yeah, Emmanuel, good evaluations. Davison, I commented that you're a teacher for sure. If you're going to pursue that, that's something that you can always do because I felt you can teach. Rebecca, high evaluations on our usage of grammar was really great. And I think he's one of the best grammarians that I've encountered, and that really feels nice. So for me, I think I enjoyed your meeting, and I really like what Makerere is doing. I really hope we can plan a physical meetup with all the Gaveliers around. Maybe we come to Uganda or you guys come to Kenya. This is something that we can always plan if you guys are willing. But yeah, I'm the previous president of JQuat Toastmasters, the JQuat Toastmasters Gavel Club here in Kenya. And yeah, it feels nice to be around. I just wish my team could have joined in this meeting so as to learn a lot and have the experience of what Makerere is doing. That's all for me, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris Pine, for jumping in, by the way. And I would love to say, call this a shameless plug or whatever, but if you would like, actually, I do have a radio show of my own. Well, it's like more like the internet radio of it. It's called the Hosni Mubaraq Show. Definitely, it's a podcast on all streaming platforms, you definitely can catch it. Actually, as a matter of fact, I want to book you on right now. We could do a session together. Hit me on my Instagram at Hosni Mubaraq, HOSNIMUBRAQ _ I want to get you on the pod. Sounds good?
Yeah, that's really nice. I guess we can even share contacts. Emmanuel has my contact. We can always link up.
Okay,
I'll
I'm
reach you.
definitely hook it from him. Thank you so much for jumping on. We really appreciate you.
Sure, thank you.
So someone else that wanted to say a few remarks as well.
I had some remarks to say.
Sure.
I think the presentation was awesome, and yeah, I think that's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for jumping in. Anyone else? We would say at least 3 more.
In case
there's anybody else that would like to make their comment, or perhaps we could just read the text. Is there someone perhaps in the text that wants to say something? We could just read it from there if you don't feel comfortable having your voice out.
In case there's no one, I would love to use this opportunity to recognize the presence of our founding president, Mr. Emmanuel Akandwanaho. Usually, when the Toastmasters meeting is ending, they invite the president to say something. However, as the president, and given that I've been doing quite a number of roles, I found it monotonous. However, I'll introduce myself as Davison, Kahaika, the current president, the new president of the Makerere Gavel Club. But I take great honor to recognize the president, the founding president, because, you know, as the saying goes, the new broom sweeps well, but the old one knows all the corners. That's why Emmanuel Akandwanaho was able to recognize the fact that we are forgetting our very own, the most important people in the meeting, and those are the guests. For example, Kazora is one of our guests, and I would love to give this opportunity to Kazora to first say something before Emmanuel Akandwanaho says what's up to everyone.
Thanks so much, Davison. It's always a pleasure, you know, having these insightful meetings with Gavel. And personally, I'm a guest, you know, I'm part of you, but you know, we have not interacted so much. I have to make it beautiful. I came in late because the reasons I can't explain here, but I think next time I can say hi to these guys who are doing some great stuff. Thank you so much, most Hosni Mubaraq, and I'm very happy.
Hey, I appreciate you guys for the mad love, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so Emmanuel Akandwanaho can just say one word to us, and he will have to invite the Sergeant at Arms to end the meeting because we're come bad.
Thank you so much, the Junior Evaluator, as well as the current president, Gavel Club. I didn't expect to really give a talk as a past or past. But one thing I've noticed, I must, you know, commend the current cabinet of Gavel Club is that I appreciate the fact that all the people, you notice, a lot of people use the word, these people have been speaking, but I want to use it's the practice or the preparedness they had when they were giving their. And this is something that I tried almost my time to make sure if I told Gavel Club is going our ability to focus on the speeches, the people being prepared to give the speeches. Then if I tell you in you realize you could have a okay, these guys are great, but in the rehearsal, you know, as a you know, it's like you're seeing already prepared movie. You do not see the behind the scenes. So most of you might see the speeches, the great speeches, and really like, oh, I think these guys are really great. At Gavel Club, we appreciate each and every for you to say that you want to see great prize over. So I want to recognize speakers into this meeting. I really love the icebreaker speeches. Reason being is that these people, you could see there was ability to prepare. And then the other thing that I recommend, if at all you're a speaker, anytime you want to speak at Gavel Club, I highly recommend you have a script for your speech. Not about you reading the script, but it's about you taking time to write down your thoughts and then internalize when you're writing down there's a lot of critical things happening. So in the due process, you find by the time you reach on your final script, you could write your speech once, twice, the third time, up to the fifth time, but you keep on editing. By the time you give your speech, you've entirely mastered it. So you do not need to cram all the lines because you have them by heart. So taking time to write your speech, and even the people that have seen win the best speeches here at Gavel Club, they're the people who have taken time to, to rehearse, to practice, and make sure they have a script for their speeches. And lastly, thank you so much for all your patience. I was really shocked to find that we had over 31 people at some point who were attending this meeting. I was really blown up. I did not care much about the numbers, but I was like, wait, how did these guys join? We have had a really hard time, we have taken off for over like 2 months off and Gavel Club has been silent, but each and every time there's something that sparks me. I'm wondering, because to be honest with you, I'm always trying to understand Gavel Club. Like in my sense, I'm like, okay, why do these people really want to join these things? So at some point, I also feel confused. The time I remember we had a Gavel Club meeting at Rotaract, the numbers were filled up. I'm like, oh, why do these people, what is there that they find it? And every time I, as a person, trying to understand also human cycle, I was trying to understand, but it's really, really great, having all you people take your time, take your data to come for these meetings. And that this is, I believe, this is a new, and I wish the very best for cabinet. This is a very great start that I think if at all you're able to maintain, you guys are doing well. The Toastmaster, I can't say any much what, Chris said it, you're a radio presenter. So take it away. So thank you so much. And the Sergeant at Arms, thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. And I would like to call upon the Sergeant at Arms to finalize with the meeting. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, before the Sergeant at Arms jumps in, someone asked to tell a joke. So I'm gonna just tell the joke, but then I don't know how we're going to actually get the answers in. I guess we'll just do text. We'll do text for 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, 2 minutes. So I'm gonna pose the question, and then all of y'all will try to answer what you think. So I'm gonna restrict, by the way, this question to, okay, some people are not going to be allowed to answer. For example, Emma cannot respond. Please don't respond. Who else? Oloya cannot respond. Mesfin cannot respond. I've told them the joke before. I just do not trust their memories. They'll be able to remember. It's been so long since I last told them, but they're still quite firm for their memory. So here is the joke. James Bond, well, he was known for the 007 series, right? And he was quite a very prolific man at what he does, I mean, he would spare no effort to be as ameliorating. Oh my God, I'm trying to get into that. But the point is, what is it about spies and shoes? What shoes do they have in common? I'm gonna repeat the question. What is it about spies and shoes do they have in common? Let's get the text in. Oloya, actually, no, please don't say 9. I know you know this one. We'll give it 2 minutes, guys, because we're really time bad and we definitely want to jump into something else. But I'm gonna repeat it one more time. For all the spy movies that you have watched, Breaking Bad, was Breaking Bad Anyway, I don't remember. But all the spy movies you've watched, there is one thing they all have in common about their shoes. What is it about their shoes that is almost so prolific about all of them? Nah, cowboy shoes, Atamba Moses, no. That was a very sneaky. Okay, that was a good try. That was a good try because almost all the time there's always a scene where the guy has to go to, like a ranch or something like that. But nah, not that. But thank you for the try. What shoes do all steppers have in common? Let's make it more simpler. Any other random guesses? What shoes do snappers have in common? Okay, Emma is also allowed to respond. This is very risky. I don't know if he remembers, but I hope he doesn't. But give it a shot. Black. Okay, that's a very close one. Black shoes. Nah. It's a good one, but well. Max don't say sharp shoes. Christian. Okay, listen, at the strike. Ooh. Who's Mariah Carey? Okay, so anyway, she got it right. She got it right. The shoes that all snipers have in common are, I'm gonna text it. That's how cold I am. I'm gonna text it. I'm not going to say it. So you go to the text and tap it right there. Apparently, they are sneakers. Monica is saying it. I don't know, probably she must have been around me somewhere, somehow. I told the joke to a few people that were close to me. But yes, all snipers have sneakers to sneak around.
Yay.
So yeah, that was the joke of the day. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys could perhaps share it with the rest of your folks and have a good laugh just as much as I did for myself. It's a selfish plot for sure, but Davis. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God, you are such a bitcher. I told Davis that joke. Man, that was cold. You're not supposed to do that, but it's also okay. So anyway.
I was lying, man. I never told that. You've never told me that joke either. Anyway, it seems that the sergeant at arms is not on the call.
We need to get to the sergeant at arms.
He's not on the call, I think. Are you Mr. Muhoozi? No, he's not on the call. However, I'll take this opportunity to do his job. Like I've been doing all the other jobs. Thank you very much for coming for the meeting. We are very happy to have had you on this meeting. As Gavel Club, we love you all. Please keep tuning into these Zoom meetings whenever they are there. Come to the role takers and the Gavel Club committee members inboxes. Tell them you want to participate, you want to do icebreaker speeches. You want to learn. Make sure by the time you leave university, Gavel Club has had a touch on you, because I want to tell you something. Whoever has been a part of Gavel Club, man, never remains the same. You don't want to be the one shivering when you're giving your final year dissertation or your final year project. You want to be the star that everyone in your class will be consulting from when they're going to do their final year project or dissertation. So rather than that, thank you very much for coming. Please participate in the group. Be happy. Just make sure you are part of Gavel Club activities, and surely you'll get the best out of it. You are free to leave now, and the recording shall be shared for those who have missed. Thank you.
Kahaika, good night.
Good night to you all, by the way. Oh, for those that are still on, yeah, take care, mom. Sleep tight. Make sure you pray before you go to bed. And whole nine, just take care of yourselves. I'm actually waiting for everybody to leave, that's why. Okay, I quit.